right, welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV television and radio in Freetown, Sierra Leone.
Coming up in the program this morning, members of parliament will be discussing the speech of President Dr. Julius Maada Bio at the state opening of the third session of the 6th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. On, of course, electoral reforms, the economy, agriculture, among other things.
And we shall be speaking to the Kono District Council Chairman, Sir Augustine Sheku, on the recently joined Sierra Leone delegation at the 4th Financing for Development Conference in Seville, Spain, and the showcase of the Kono Tech Farm as the country's strategy for feed salon, with the goal of attracting direct foreign investment, among other things.
Always, we do encourage your feedback and inputs into this 2-hour-long conversation via YV News Facebook page. Keep sending us them there, but ensure they are tailored to the issue we discuss in the program this morning. And I think now straight off into our first segment.
We are going to, well, in our first segment, we are going to speak to members of parliament from the Sierra Leone People's Party, SLPP, of which we did extend our invitations to, and also the All People's Congress, APC party, on the speech of President Dr. Julius Maada Bio at the state opening of the third session of the 6th Parliament of the Second Republic. We shall be discussing the President's speech on electoral reforms, the economy, and agriculture, among other things. In the studio this morning, we have Dr. Unfasori Kurma, APC parliamentary spokesperson, and also Solomon Sundu, social activist. And we also invited a member of parliament from SLPP. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, AYV. Good morning for having us.
Let's lay the foundation before we get into other areas of, the statement. From an opposition part of view, what will be your overall statement or comment on the entire opening session?
The session was one that was a little bit different. It was a session that saw a statement by the president that painted a picture of what the nation's economy and the state of affairs of the country is as it is now. But it was also a session that was marked with several intangibles, but in a nutshell, it gave us an idea where the government's intentions are and where the government intends to do moving forward. But when you go through the lines of the president's speech, it is clear that indeed what exactly the president was trying to articulate versus what exactly it's on the ground were completely two different things. Of course, he gave us an idea as a nation what accomplishments they've made when it comes to numbers, but as people of this country, we would like to look at what achievements they've made that we can feel. The palpable achievements were the ones we, as the people of this country, we want to point to. And the statement, indeed, in some areas when it has to do with the economy, is something that is visible, like when you talk about the price of rice coming from 1,000 to 700,000, it is visible. But you will also want to think about where we came from before we are going back. Because naturally, if you send your students to school and they failed for so many semesters and they start passing, you will start feeling better about that student. But at the end of the day, it does not change the fact that the student has been failing. So naturally, if we say the economy is doing better than it was a month or 2 months or 3 months ago, then we want to see how that will benefit the ordinary man. What impact will that have in the wallets of the ordinary Sierra Leonean? And savings that have been lost over months or over years, how can they be regained? Probably there are losses that can never be regained, but they definitely will be something that the people probably breathe a sigh of relief that, yes, we are getting some relief now. So in a nutshell, yes, it gives us an idea where the economy is. It gives us an idea where the government's mind is. It also reminds us that there are so many things that are left behind that the government needs to do, and that some people in some parts of the country are actually not feeling the prosperity or the actuality of what the president is envisaging.
Does the APC party support or oppose the president's call for proportional representation?
The APC vehemently opposes a call for proportional representation. Yes, PR is in our constitutional books, but they have conditions in which they should be used. And in a country where we should be having a census this year, but they've postponed it to next year, and a country wherein people in all corners of this country need a direct touch with their representative, I think it is something that we as an opposition will not accept and will not stand for. And of course, we feel disappointed that even the government have intentions of moving this proportional representation to even an executive arm of proportional representation. And there are reasons for that. I don't think it's something to really hold and believe that that is a true reason for having a proportional representation. The speech exactly talks about how you want to unite the country, and we hope and pray that this president will have gotten out of the gates with that when he became a president in 2018 of uniting the country.
Honorable Nfa, let me take you back. The president, even before the statement at the speech he delivered at Parliament, came open to say the SLPP party will remain the only party in Sierra Leone that will come to government for the third time. The conversation have been around the PR system, and similarly so there is an old adage that says, when blind man say the stone you, they don't master stone. Is the APC worried, taking into cognizance the current realities on the ground with the PR system and the previous statements from the SLPP? There seemed confirmation on the third term of the SLPP.
The statement by the president was an unfortunate one. Of course, it's no secret that the last election left a very bad taste in the mouth of the average Sierra Leonean. It's no secret that nobody in this country believed that the government won the elections. But we, opposition, bend over backwards to see that we have a peaceful state and a country that will continue to thrive for the ordinary Sierra Leonean. So if a government that did not clearly win an election is proposing that they win a third term, it's ridiculous, to say the least. And if you're saying you're going to win a third term, then for us we're thinking you're trying to play the same games you played in the last election to win a third term. First of all, you have to win the hearts and minds of the people of this country before you propose that you're winning a third term. We've seen a government that has failed, and hopefully over the years, and we've seen a government that has failed to unite the people of this country. Of course, the statement by the president on this state opening was a different statement in which he stated about uniting the country. But rhetorics can only be matched by words. And if they are not matched by actions, then we cannot take it as it is. When it comes to PR, we thought at the time that they were using PR in that last elections because they could not demarcate or redistrict the constituencies. But indeed, it is clear to all of us that we were not beaten in Parliament on that day for nothing. They were bent on having a PR, and they were bent on ensuring that they get a control of the House of Parliament. Because under the PR system, as you see in this last election, even the results of members of Parliament did not come out so early. And when it's a district block system, then how do you tell the votes that each member of Parliament gets in their respective constituencies? Because if you can recall, in 2018, APC had 68 seats, and the ruling government got 49 seats, which tells you that, which left a lot of question in the minds of the ordinary person is how can you win parliament and lose the presidency. So I'm sure they were bent on ensuring that that does not repeat itself. And with a government so unpopular, we'll see why they want to push this PR down the throats of the average Sierra Leonean.
Just so that from the public, just as my co-host did mention, we did invited the ruling SLPP to be a part of this conversation this morning. But nonetheless, we have Solomon Sundu, who is a rights-based activist. Solomon, even before the president made the speech in Parliament, we had in our studios. We discussed a lot of issues, of course, preempted what will have been said, and the achievement the president will, of course, lay bare to the public in terms of what has been recorded thus far. In a few words, what were your key take-homes from the speech that was made by the president in Parliament?
Well, I will, base my emphasis on the area of, national cohesion, and the words that he used, that the leadership of his presidency, he received it with humility, and that he wants to see this country be in that cohesive, no matter your race, whether you are APC or SLPP. But what can we do in uniting Sierra Leone? When you look at our electoral system, it has, been a tough one over the years. My brother was talking about, how the president, spoke about the economy, for which I was in Parliament, and all of, my brother too, and others were there. He spoke about reduction of rice to 650 leons. That is what we want to see, but we don't want, that to be, just to be a give over or a take over. We want it to come down a bit over 500. That is what citizens want to see. And we also talk about the PR system. He spoke about the PR system, that the PR system has no room for members of parliament to reach their constituents. For me, it's no. It's a no. They just want to use that as a political tool. In my own view, when you look at the PR system, we spoke of the PR system. My take is the threshold. For me, the threshold is too high, and we hope in the future they will reduce that threshold so that we'll have, dissenting voice like the smaller parties or independent party to be in that parliament. But when you look at the PR system, it gives room for peace. Over the years, you and I know our election has been marred with violence. Moreover, when you talk about by-elections, we have seen, when you talk about by-elections, it's like do or die, the SLPP and the APC. Who should take over? Let me say if my APC they in that seat of the stronghold of SLPP. The SLPP will make sure that that seat is recovered, pauper, right? Let me say now APC in stronghold. The APC too will make sure that they retain that seat, but with Bagbati. And we don't want to see that Bagbati and pauper business in Sierra Leone again. What we do, the PR system open a room for you guys to come together. We are in the technological hall. You can able to come together, open a WhatsApp group, communicate the district issues. Nobody will tell me that, oh, the PR system debar you not to reach your people. Even in the first past the post system, the constituency elections, we had honorable members in this town not even reaching their people before this time. So for me, for them to use that word that the PR system is against the norm of electoral process, I don't think so.
Many political parties, including the APC, does believe the PR system leaves hole for a lot of pitfalls. But again, recommendations in the tripartite setup did talk about ways to look into what's best for Sierra Leone in terms of its electoral reforms. What will you say in terms of the current foundations that have been set, taking into cognizance the roles of the committee in looking at electoral reforms in Sierra Leone? Is it so far so good? Is it applaudable, Solomon?
Well, we heard the other day the oppositions, but I think they are gone beyond that. That when they want to meet, they will not inform them. But I think they have passed that, because I knew the Attorney General told us that even the 50+1 has been agreed upon in the tripartite recommendations. And my brother was talking about the 2023 election marred with, irregularities. Agreed. But from 2007, 12 to this date, that is what we want to avoid. If we go by the recommendations of the tripartite, meaning all what is in there, how can we, limit the area of irregularities in our electioneering? How can we, register or avoid under, age voting? These were all the crux. So for me, even when they talk about the NIL, this is the time for them to go to their constituents or districts, sensitize, the electorate. That come 2028, this is the model we are going to use. For example, go and take your ID card, meaning for us to avoid the underage registration, because nobody will come and recommend you like the way we used to do before, or the imam will come and recommend, or pastor or the reverend father will come and recommend you. This time, for us to avoid that, go and take or register yourself so that you can be within that frame. If you are 18 or at the age of 18, you can able to vote without somebody recommending you.
Now, Solomon, how would you evaluate the inclusivity of current parliamentary process on reforms?
Well, I would say they are on it. For me, these are politicians. They will bring up issues, they will talk, but at the end of the day, I believe in dialogue. And when we talk about democracy, right, it's about dialogue. It's George, you talk, I talk. Then we put the case across, then we look into it. For me, you are the president saying that this parliament is the heartbeat of our democracy. This parliament shapes every life's or home in this country. This parliament makes decisions, they pass law. And when you talk about the representation, thank God you asked that question, the parliamentarian will tell you that there are three rules: representation, making laws, and oversight. That is what they will tell you. Before, we have this, parliamentarian having portfolio, which means in every constituency, if you have that ministerial position, you have to develop your area. For now, that is not so. Their role is that three, distinctions I've made: passing law, representation, and oversight. So if that is the case, why are they saying the PR system is debarring them not to reach their people? For me, that is not the case. In fact, the PR system will make your district know you more and more if you are to know them. It's not only within that limited 3,000 people who voted for you, but the entire district will know you. All you need to do, if you are APC, and in fact, it bring cohesiveness. We have heard about, the demise of honorable members, chairpersons. You don't ever again say we don't fit. No, except the ECSL and the government of Sierra Leone, they went to court for waiting. Then say for go into election when the Kenema district chairman died. That was not so. All they need to do, if whether APC was there as the second person, you take the seats. That's cohesiveness, and that's one way we should avoid this electoral tension. Now that me want to see. You can get seats na Kono, you get seats all over the place, you get seats na Makeni. That is what we want to say.
Okay, well, we'll definitely come back to you, but let's come to Dr. Omfa. The APC party seems to be agreed on quite a number of things. Now, what is your party's alternative proposal to the current electoral system, and how does it ensure fairness and representation?
And clearly, I see we have a PR ambassador with me here. But the PR, first of all, I want to make this clear. I did not say PR will not allow the MPs to get in touch with their representatives, with the people that they represent. I said it will create a challenge for the representatives to have a member of parliament that they can have a direct contact with. I can give you a case in point. In the western area, as we speak, from Kisi all the way to Fula Town and Frobe, do not have members of parliament. And I'm a member of parliament in the eastern part of the Freetown or in the western urban. We've been trying to see how we can even represent those people during critical times, like when it comes to Ramadan, when you have to reach mosques, when it comes to disasters in those communities. Who is the member of parliament they will call on? For example, in the rainy season now, if you have flooding in Calabar Town, in Robis, and you have flooding all the way by Ross Road or Race Course Road. Do you expect that member of parliament that answers to the call in Botomoku to be able to go to the same place in another community in answer to that call?
Yes.
No, it's not possible.
Yes,
and
it can happen.
If you look at the challenges that we represent, those people have been left out for 3 years. Secondly, they want to use violence as a case in point for a PR. First of all, as Sierra Leoneans, we have to reshape our minds around this violence and elections.
Sure.
We have to do that.
Yeah, sure,
and secondly, as people of this country, we have to ensure that politics should not be the only means by which people think they can have prosperity. And it starts with the leadership of the country. When you go to elections, or you're going into elections, or when a president becomes a president of this country, it is incumbent on that president to unite the nation. And once that country feels united, then tensions are reduced. And when those tensions are reduced, even when the by-elections come around, you will see that there will be less tension when it comes to by-elections. How do you ensure that the people who vote for the representative that they want in their own constituency, if one passes away, they have the right to choose that person that will vote, that will represent them? But if a party selects a list and you cannot tell where in that list your own person or your own person that you voted for in a primary election is, then at the end of the day, you don't have somebody to run to. Representation is all about relationship. Good. And it's all about communication. If you do not have a relationship with the people that you serve, that relationship will be strained. If we're talking about democracy, we have to copy the democracy that is practiced in most parts of the world. Yes, Sierra Leone can have their own type of democracy or their own type of representation. Every country is entitled to that. But don't tell me that only the PR will be the only way to solve those problems. When we know that we're experiencing population explosion, especially in the Western area. How can you ensure that you have those representatives having a direct relationship with their people?
The president did say in Parliament that the country is going to utilize the PR system when consultations are currently ongoing, from according to what the committee did say, even though the APC is claiming that there is no consultation from according to them and even other parties such as NRP or so to speak, Dr. Mfa. Do you consider such statements as a slip of tongue from the president?
Well, I mean, it's clear that consultations has been a challenge by this government, even when it comes to appointing the Electoral Commissioner. When it says consultation, to them, information is consultation. If I provide the information and it's available to you, then you've been consulted. And that is not the spirit of consultation. Consultation is actually trying to know what the other side thinks. Yeah. And when you get what the other side thinks, then it guides you in what decision you make.
Sure.
My fellow panelists talked about threshold. In 2018, we had 4 parties in parliament, plus independent members of parliament, because we did not have to worry about threshold. So the question is, what kind of threshold do you want for them to have so that you can have the kind of representation from the smaller parties? Indeed, when you have a PR, you have to have a threshold. And sometimes those smaller parties do not meet the threshold. But in some communities, the people prefer to have an independent member of parliament. In some communities, the people prefer to have a member of parliament, for example, from C4C or NGC. But you've not given them that opportunity. And they voted, but their party have not met that threshold. As a result, they cannot send somebody to parliament to represent their voice. At the end of the day, you will kind of disadvantage in the smaller parties to the advantage of the bigger parties. And that is why we are against this PR. So if we want to open up our democracy, and we want to ensure that everybody have a face in representation, then why do you force PR into the hearts and minds of people? And you say in the name of violence. And I want us to do a study, compare by-elections from 2007 to date, or from 2007 and 2018. If those studies are available, how much violence did you see in those respective elections? Because when the tension is high in the country, then there are tendencies that the violence will be higher. So the tensions, especially after 2018, were at the highest. And it doesn't have to be about the opposition not accepting that they're in opposition, but it's because of the temperament that was set by the government at that time. Like I told you, when the president came and in his speech, you saw him trying to unite the country. Go back to speeches in 2018, 2019, and what he was talking about. He was talking about the opposition and not uniting the country.
From what the APC is saying with regards to the lot of statements we've had of recent, it's as if the APC is painting the picture as if the SLPP is fanning the flame of chaos, taking into cognizance a lot of pointers. You just cited the current actions that were taken with regards the acting ECSL chairman and similarly to the Eastern Region chairman, which the APC seem to be dissatisfied about. But what do you think is good about the PR system?
What do I think?
What does the APC think is good about the PR system? Someone did mention that one of the problems they believe is that of the threshold, but what do you think is good about the PR system if utilized in the right way?
The only thing I think the PR can serve is when we cannot redistrict, when we are out of time, when communities cannot be reached, if there is war in certain communities, emergency situations, then the PR can serve to have an election wherein those people that are in those communities that we cannot take boxes to can come to a center and vote. So PR can serve those purposes, and that is what the book is clearly about, the Constitution or the Act, 38A of the Public Elections Act. That is what is clear about. But when it comes to when everything's normal, then PR should not be an option. PR should not be an option. PR should be a stopgap measure. It should not be a permanent solution. And that is what we are making clear. But like I stated, tensions in a country, especially in Sierra Leone, where majority of the people believe that they can only get their jobs through government, and the government comes and remove everybody that they believe worked to the previous government, it's clear that you're going to have tensions in that country. So when you have by-elections, then it's going to be more violent. So it's all about the actions that the government starts when they come into governance. And like I said, you can compare by-elections from 2007 to by-elections in 2018, and he's a civil society person. He can tell me that by-elections in 2018 or after 2018 were more violent versus by-elections in 2007 to 2012 because of the tension that was created by the government, the systemic or systematic elimination of all the people that probably thought they had a secure job but were eliminated because a new government came into governance. Those are some of the things that created that tension. So you have people that were civil servants eventually becoming politicians because they think they have to survive.
Before Solomon Sundu makes his submission in that regards, now, do you believe that the 2025 budget allocation, actually reflects the urgent need of Sierra Leone's struggling household?
That's you're talking about the supplemental budget.
Supplemental budget.
Well, when it comes to certain areas, it did. But when you look at the big five game changers, when you look at the supplemental budget and you look at what was given to agriculture and all the enablers of the big five changer, you see that not much money was given to them. But when you look at the office of the president, you look at the office of the vice president, and you look at the office of the chief minister, you saw that more money was given to them, or even more money had been spent by those respective offices before the supplemental budget came to parliament. So to me, it was pretty much a budget that had to cover up or take care of what they've already damaged. So all of the things that the spending that they have made over time, because you cannot spend what is not approved in Parliament. So some of them were all unwarranted spending that they have to come to Parliament to ensure they get the warrant. But if you look at all the other ones that has to do with changing the lives of the people when it comes to education, agriculture, the money was so little, and you can tell that the supplemental budget was not really about that.
You've heard from Dr. Unfa Solomon. Now, in your own perspective, do you think not just the president, the SLPP government per se, have met, the things that they spoke about in the Big Five Game Changer Manifesto? Do you think they have really met some of those things?
No, I won't sit here and say they have met all of the promises they made. But let me throw the line of what Honorable said, that when things are normal, I'm still with the PR, that when things are normal, we are not in the normal situation when you talk about the economy. We are still under, for me, austerity has not been declared yet.
Is the economy one of those pointers?
Of course, my brother. When you look at the money saved, the ECSL will tell you, since the PRC, I mean the PR system was introduced over the years, how many by-election we have got? Look into that. It's talking about statistical data. I will tell you, from the days of the late President Kabal onto the former President Kuruma, our by-election has been marred with violence and expenditure, right? We are not in a better footing of our economy. So for me, all monies that has been saved, we can tell ECSL, go and build your offices within most of these chiefdom. That's also another development, because we are talking about our, election results. If you can have ECSL having offices in each of these chiefdom, headquarters or districts, then it could be fine for us. So for me, that area of things are normal. We are not in a normal situation of our economy. Our economy is still not in the good footing. Now let me come to your question. You talk about if the SLPP has achieved. I will not answer. We still have 3 years for the SLPP, then we can start giving, or mark their results. But as it is, the president spoke about the 5 big change. I will say, like Sierra Leone, we should not use political thoughts. We should avoid politicking in that. A country that cannot able to feed itself, it's head for a doom. My honorable member knows that. So let them all support what is good. And as an opposition, I always say this, they are governments in waiting. Bring in alternative that will suit. If the economy is not, rosy, you bring in alternative so that we can see exactly your proposal, if you are there, what you will do. But as it is, we are not saying, except this latter part, I'm now seeing the opposition, doing their job, engagements, engaging the public. It spoke about, the president not, accepting peace. For me, it's not like that. It's us, the citizens. Do we really accept from 2018 to date, those party supporters? When you look at the proposals, for me, I always say governance is continuity. If the SLPP government says we want to inquire into X, Y, and Z, all you need to do as an opposition, for as long as it is in that constitution that gives the power that any president can set up commissions of inquiry, just go by the law, right? And we saw exactly how that thing become tensionable. We saw the August 9 and 10. Oppositions or supporters were, not accepting reality. We know that people were sitting out there, bringing tension. So for me,
when you talk opposition, who are you referring to?
I'm referring to those who are, insinuating trouble. Those who are telling people, go down to the street, don't accept this, don't accept this. These are the people I'm referring to.
Solomon, the president did talk about efforts to address drug issue in the country. Help us connect the dots between what was said in Parliament by the president and the current realities on the ground.
When you talk about drugs, for me, I think the government needs to do more on that. They should not be saying lip service, because if you go down to the streets, the things are visible, right? we heard about this ECOWAS came here because the issue around drug is not only now bordering within Sierra Leone. I was in that engagement in parliament that ECOWAS are saying it that drug issue should not only be a country thing. They should, fight it together. So they all came here. So all we are saying, I think the government need to do more on drug. If there are the laws are archaic, we should try and fine-tune those laws so that whoever is catch in that should be well punished. But according to the laws now we have, the police will tell you we have done our part. When you go to the DPP departments, they have their own way, or the courts will just, and find that individual and discharge the person. So for me, the laws, that's what we should be looking at. And the honorable members here, they have the power. They are in this committee. As I said, you can be in so many committees. In your district, you can come together. We have this technology now. Come together. He is saying, for example, if you're in Freetown, he cannot represent those people within his district. For me, it's no. Come together and see exactly if you can push the institution that is responsible for disaster, push that institution. That is your job. Your job is not to take money to go and spend it. You can go in solidarity. Call all of you within the group. But if you say, no, for me, I'm not saying like crazy. Who side Freetown day? Freetown far from who side the other side? You are just within the same city. You know.
You did mention the anomalies around the census. Recommendation 38 in the tripartite recommendation speaks to same. What sort of an effect do you think same hopes to have in the electoral process? More so when the actual date that was set for elections have been postponed.
I mean, it's clear. Let's face it. Census are not done for political gerrymandering, or they should not be done for political gerrymandering. Censuses are done to ensure that developments are arranged or planned or structured around where the population stands. If you have more elderly, you know where your funds should go. If you have more young people in society, you know where your funds should go. If you have more women in society, then you know what you need to cater for. So censuses are one of those reasons they do censuses, to ensure that we plan for development. That is one. Two, censuses also will be done to ensure that each community are redistricted so that their representative can have full time with them. Full time. If you study all the democracies that we've mirrored or copied from, that is how their democracies are done. They are demarcated, and you have representatives for those respective communities. I'm a member of parliament, and I've worked under a first past the post system, and I'm working under a PR system. This is my personal experience. And my brother here cannot tell me about my experience when I know what I'm experiencing in my district versus my constituency. That is my experience. And that is why consultation is very important, because now we can guide government on what to do. But if the government has not come back to us, even though we were forced to pass that Public Elections Act in 2022, before the elections, then it means the government already have their mind set up to do something else.
But you went to
and
court.
clearly,
On the PR system.
clearly, sir, excuse me, clearly, we want to be clear that what we are trying to propose to ensure that the elections of 2023 do not repeat itself in this country at any time. We want to be clear about that. And we are sure that under a PR system, all of those irregularities that were witnessed will also be witnessed in the 2028 elections. Let me just answer this real quick. When it comes to the Commission of Inquiry, the APC was never against a Commission of Inquiry. The APC was in favor of a just dispensed Commission of Inquiry, because when you have officers working in a previous government are put in a Commission of Inquiry, in which at the time we insisted that even permanent secretaries should be brought under that commission, and you have former ministers in the previous government appointed as ministers in the new government, without them facing a commission of inquiry, it means you've created an inequitable dispensation of the law when it comes to people that worked under a government that you're conducting a commission of inquiry on. Secondly, when it comes to economic instability cannot be a reason for a PR.
On that note, I beg to ask, what's your take on government's approach with regards fiscal discipline?
Government's approach has not been reckless when it comes to fiscal discipline. And we believe that because of that recklessness, we witness what my brother said. There's a possibility, they witness what we believe is a situation that demands that government calls for austerity measures. When the Minister of Finance went to Parliament recently, Chapter 25 and 31 in his statement clearly pointed that the government is instituting austerity measures. But he also said, this is not an austerity budget, but it was really an austerity budget when you look into it. They are trying to tighten up their spending. They're trying to do what we've advised them, though they need to do more, because we have a bloated cabinet. We have a bloated cabinet by the government. We have 26 missions across the world, embassies. And of course, embassies are meant to serve Sierra Leoneans in those respective countries, but sometimes you have to cut your coat according to your size. So when it comes to fiscal spending and fiscal discipline, they've been reckless, but they're trying to manage it now. Okay,
and before we take some messages, Solomon, you've heard from what the Honorable has mentioned. Would you speak to same?
Well, he spoke about the census and the 2023 election marred with irregularities. That is what the, tripartite is, opposing to. All of the 84 recommendations, if we follow it strict to sensu, it means that we can able to reform our electoral laws and processes. And even when you spoke about the 2022 election bill, you went to court about the PR system. You were opposed to it, but when you went to court, the court decided that, yes, it is in the law. So for me, when we talk about, the circumstances surrounding our electioneering, it means all of us can come together and pinpoint at areas. Let's say, for example, if we say, let's project our results in every polling stations. If we have the facility or the tool, we can do it.
We had the facility.
If we have the money, we can do it.
But government refused money.
So that is what I'm saying.
Government refused money.
So if we have all of this, we can able to make our election avoid from violence and all other irregularities. So that is the call. Let them come together and see how best they can able to fine-tune those laws. And one of the things I would say is the Constitution. If the honorable member under their tenure, if they can able to push for the review and all what is being proposed in the tripartite recommendation, fix into the review constitution, table it in parliament for referendum, and I think that will be better. Because all what we are saying, if they are not in the constitution, it means we are going to have more tripartite. Because as it is, the APC honorable member is saying they want to avoid all what's happened for the 2028, and we are seeing threats. Some are saying if we don't win the 2028 election, we'll bring war. What is this war? Even from the SLPP, I will say to them, whoever is talking of war, go and take your family member, make them the commandants. Yeah? For me, we don't need war in this country. If you want to bring war because of your own selfish benefit, do the needful. The needful are, we are talking about the senior census here. Cartographic mapping is going around. We know exactly what transpired from the midterm census. We don't want that again. Go and tell your people, come out, register. This is a time for us to come out and be counted. After every 10 years, we have census. I think this one is clear. Let us not begin to talk in the way for make the 2028 election can begin turn all that thing. They lost them. They think the way they don't say which law do. We now all join hand. Let me make sure we put them law then into we book.
But Solomon, as a rights-based activist, the tripartite recommendations did make clear processes and procedures that should be followed. Just as I pointed out earlier on, recommendations 30th, it stated that use decennial census data for elections published 2 years prior. I think it's explicitly stated, and taking into cognizance the dates that has been announced for the conduct of census, it speaks contrary to a provision that seems very integral to the development, not just elections, the development of Sierra Leone, Solomon.
You're right. You're right. And that is the thing we should not, as I said, we should not play in politics around, the census.
The people seem to have been taken for granted. Is that the case, Solomon?
And that is what I'm saying to all of us, that Sierra Leone, don't take us for granted. Both political parties, don't take us for granted. Go and do the needful. Yes, I will agree with you that the census postponed in 2026 will be of some concern. But let's say the election calendar has been, I had the Attorney General Minister of Justice saying they have agreed on electoral calendar as to how we can go into election and when we should vote. All of these things, if we agreed...
You say agreed. Who have agreed, you say?
No, they have agreed. I think both within the tripartite. I don't know, perhaps the only member...
But is that the case?
Like the first past the post.
As the APC...
The 50+1, they have agreed on all that.
As the
except he refused.
Calendar or a percentage set?
No, clearly, first of all, when it comes to the census, the recommendation said 2 years.
Yeah.
And from the time they said they were going to postpone the census 2026, we were sensing that there are plans to ensure that time was limited to redistrict. So clearly, the 2 years should not be the threshold to redistrict. First of all, census and statistics should have been able to do census in 2025. They should have been able to plan for census in 2025. Now, if census is going to be in 2026, a year should be sufficient to redistrict and have a ballot delimitation so that we can still have the elections in 2028. Now, we have to ensure that all of those are in place before we start talking about calendar. First of all, when they came with the Public Elections Act in 2022 or 2021, in that bill, they had said that we should have stipulated days for elections.
Sure.
But with no opposition from the APC, they removed it from the bill. So we did not see any commitment, or we've not seen any commitment for us to have a calendar in terms of elections, when elections should happen and when should be an inauguration. So for them to start making calendars now, and with census not being in limbo, with redistricting also being in limbo, we believe that it is all orchestrated actions to ensure that they plan elections around
for me,
to disenfranchise the opposition. Secondly, my colleague here or panelist here was talking about ID cards. I want to make this clear. We cannot use national ID cards as a way to register to vote. First of all, we want to ensure now we have challenges with national ID cards. In communities, some people cannot even afford national ID cards. Yes, national ID cards are good to get. They are necessary to have. But we cannot use national ID cards as a way to have people to register to vote, because registration to vote is free. National ID cards are 145,000 leons. You think it's a small money, but some people cannot afford that when they're struggling to have a meal every day, even though they deserve to have 3 square meals a day.
I was tempted
and
to
are unemployed, and governments do not have social services for those people. You know, it's unfortunate that government will put that kind of pressure on people.
I was tempted to ask, because I've gone through the Constitution, I've read the Constitution, and perhaps I skipped that section, but I was tempted to ask, is there a provision in the Constitution that says it is compulsory for every Sierra Leonean to have a national ID card?
Clearly not.
No, but when you go to statutes, my honorable member will not say clearly not. We have NCRA. I'm coming. We have NCRA. I think they have their laws. They have what has bind them in. I'm coming, sir. All statutes goes through that parliament. I will not say it is boldly.
Just mention the statutes.
No, I'm coming. I'm talking about the NCRA. Their laws, perhaps, that's why they cannot work in isolation. When they want to enforce, they go in line with the law enforcers. They alone cannot tell you that, if you don't take your ID card, it is compulsory, it is mandatory, but they use the other means. They are in tangents. So for me, the ID card issue, I'm not saying what the honorable members should try to know. Avoiding underage voting, you understand, this is necessary for all of us. Because we have seen past governments and present, both political parties, they will tell you in their stronghold, they are registering underage. So for us to avoid that, why can't you, as an honorable member...
You've not answered my question.
No, that's why I refer it to the NCRA. Perhaps...
Is there a provision that says it's compulsory?
Well, I will not sit here and tell you.
Okay, so now we've had a lot of messages. Let's go through those messages.
Thank you.
Marina, have you?
Yes.
Will you start?
The first one is from Mosti, and he's saying, Onfa, I know you are the only parliamentarian present here, and thank you for that. I want to excuse the imperfections of these parliamentarians and give them the opportunity for them to be totally honest with the people about the pettiness of most of, if not all of them, on the day of the speech. It is quite clear that the SLPP members started on civil behavior towards the First Lady, but then the APC members joined in what was clearly an attack on a woman. The total hypocrisy of Parliament, whereby on one hand they preach gender equality and empowerment, on the other hand they feel so insecure, intimidated, intolerant and threatening by a strong outspoken woman. I must say I'm not surprised because this is the first Parliament that threw their support behind a clerk who was found wanting, a Parliament that's unfairly maltreated, attacked and sacked another very strong woman and the former Auditor General. The same Parliament that is incapable of protecting their citizens in the hands of wicked foreign investors, that is called the holdings. Same Parliament that supports the Chinese in increasing toll fees without any other optional route. I'm not surprised at all. Can you, however, please just admit that you were wrong? A total disservice to the People's Palace as sacred place. Thank you.
Thomas Roger says, I do not believe our politicians are truly prioritizing the needs and welfare of the people. Far too often, their focus seems fixed on advancing their political parties' agendas and securing personal gains, rather than addressing the real challenges citizens face. We have witnessed the consequences of such self-serving leadership before, most painfully during the war when political greed and divisions played a role in devastating our nation. Today, the people are more informed, more aware, and less willing to be misled by leaders driven solely by ambition and greed. It is time for our politicians to recognize that genuine leadership means serving the people first, not party interest.
Another one from Edwina John. The PR system's future is not yet fixed, but the tripartite reforms are the platform where its fate will be decided. The chosen system will shape electoral fairness, representation, and trust in the 2028 results.
Mr. Dozak says the states addressed by President Biyo at the Well of Parliament brought mixed feelings among Sierra Leoneans, because some were saying the speech was solid, while others were of the view that the speech lacked the reality in the country.
This is from Abu Bakar Rashid. He says, if Statistics Sierra Leone conducts the census in 2026, it's clear sign that the excuse they will use is that because of this, there will not be enough time to do the boundary delimitation. So the proportional representation of this six block system is what they will recommend.
Also says, in the area of rice production, which is our staple food, we are still faced with challenges because the rate of importation is still high compared to the low rates of production. We need massive rice production to drastically cut down the high rates of importation.
This is from Samuel Louise. All Sierra Leonean must have a national identification card, but not everyone can afford it.
Continue. I think I'm having issues with my messages.
Edwina John again says the tripartite committee is currently consulting stakeholders nationwide on which model Sierra Leone should use in 2028, with the decision likely to be included in parliamentary legal amendment in 2026 to 2027. And is it clear now?
Anthony MS Kosoba says, when a team is sure of beating another team, no matter the field they play in, they will win. Why afraid of PR system when you've told us you are making the next government because of what you've offered to Mama Salone after 2028? Paddy, now focus on developing agendas for development of Mama Salone. Now this complaint use for clemency, then win, but then thief the election.
From Thomas Rogers again, I do not believe it should be mandatory for everyone to obtain an ID card. While having an ID card can be useful for identification and accessing certain services, people should not be forced into getting one if they do not wish to. For those who choose to obtain an ID card, the cost should be kept as low as possible. For that, even the average person with limited income can afford it. An identification system should be inclusive, not a financial burden, ensuring that no one is excluded simply because they cannot pay a high fee.
Pastor says, please, I want to know if the former government of Anis Bai Koroma Constitutional Review Committee that was headed by late Justice Kawan, was there any provision for a PR system to be one of the major forms of electioneering process in Sierra Leone? If yes, then I see no reason why the APC should deny the system that was recommended by the committee, which themselves the APC conducted.
This one is from Nyake Kalon, and he's saying, according to you, Mr. Honorable, the president did not win the last election, but you still legitimately collected your backlog of payment from his administration. Isn't that weird?
This one is from Yakub Jallo, who says, Mr. Solomon, as a political commentator, do you really believe that the government, that this current government is implementing dialogue? And if yes, and if you believe so, give us 2 examples of those dialogue this current government has made with other political parties.
I think those are the messages I can take.
Lots and lots of messages on our Facebook page, but these are the ones I think we could take for now and allow our guests to respond.
Allow you to start by responding.
Okay, so the first message about Parliament support under the Clerk of Parliament. I want to make it clear that the APC was never in support of the Clerk of Parliament when he was found wanting of misconduct. I want to make it clear that that support came from the ruling side, and it happened during a meeting with the president at the State Lodge. So let's have that clear, that the opposition was never in support of the clerk resuming or not resigning, because we had called on him to resign. Secondly, when he has to come with what happened in Parliament that day, it's clear on video on what happened, and if there was an attack on the First Lady, it is not myself to judge. We, in Parliament, during state openings, it's used as an opportunity to have light-hearted interactions. It has happened before. If people in Parliament were singing, for me, I never sang that song because I don't think it's a song that is in place for Parliament, because we know it's a song that is not used most of the time in good feelings. But sometimes during parties, you hear, it's a song by Dr. Olo, I believe, and they play that song. So for me, I later learned that it was a song that was used during the elections, and because it was used during the elections, it became a subject when it was sung in Parliament. But I do not see it as one that was trying to degrade any particular person, but I thought it was just a political moment that people use, that's always have happened in state openings. Either it's between the state, the First Lady and the opposition, or even the president and the opposition, or even the ruling and the opposition, or even in the case with the ruling and the ruling. So for me, I do not want it to, I never wanted to make the state's opening about that, and it has never been about that for me. And when it comes to the second caller, the second message, that's an opinion about members of Parliament. I cannot respond to that. When it comes to the PR system, not fixed under electoral fairness, clearly when it comes to PR, we know that the PR system is one that is used for a purpose. It is not used as a way or as a staple, meaning it is here, should be here as the only way we do elections. PR are done when the situation demands it. And as we state, Sierra Leone is in a normal state. All areas in Sierra Leone are accessible, except when it comes to now, the fourth person talked about the mixed feeling about the speech, and I want to use this opportunity to talk about the Kamakwe Road. The president in paragraph 7 talked about that the new session opens at a moment of renewed hope and shared purpose across every district. Our people look to this government and this parliament to deliver development. And if we note the Kamakwe Road, which is a road that connects Makeni or to Karine district, or Bombali district to Karine district, has been in a state of disrepair since this government came into governance. If you can note also, in 2015, under the former government, that road, which has not been tarred since independence, was under construction. And it was a project funded by the government and a project implemented by CRC. But since this government came, where the previous government stopped in that road construction, the road construction has not continued. The previous government completed 28 miles of construction of tar. And after that 28 miles, the road is still in its state. Then a year ago, which was January of 2024, the bridge collapsed. And that bridge has collapsed since that time. Government has not gone there to start any project of reconstructing that bridge. And it has left the people of that community in complete disarray. Economic activity or movement of people from Bombali to Karine has been impossible. And you should note that road will be a road when once completed can connect Potloko district, Kambia district, Karina district, Bombalis district, and even the main town of Karina district, which is Kamakwe. And that road has been left in disrepair. And if the president in his midterm national development launch of 2024 and 2030 said the people of this country are looking for government to bring prosperity without constraint to them, then I'm telling you that that is a reason why the speech has been received with mixed feelings. Because yes, the speech is very good as a speech, but when you look at the reality of the speech against what is happening on the ground, then you know they are not consistent. Yes, statistics Sierra Leone, if they do not do the census in time, it will have an effect on what will happen with the boundary delimitation, as the person in the fifth message noted. Rice production, Mystic from Dwazak talked about the rice reduction. Government said they've saved $15 million in rice importation. As opposition and as responsible opposition, we want to note that yes, the price of rice went all the way to 1,200. Now, as we speak, even up to yesterday, I bought a bag of rice for 680,000. So we know, yes, there's been a reduction. So we know, yes, that, yes, something is happening. But we should note that rice was met by this government at 200,000. Still, at 680 is still unaffordable. So yes, as my fellow panelists stated, we should see food security as something that should be an integral part of any respective government. And we as an opposition are in support of food security and feeding Sierra Leone. What we are against was an increase on the tax of rice at the time, or the importation of rice to feed Sierra Leone. We did not believe that government should add 5% to the importation of rice so they can feed Salon. So, but if we are seeing a change or a reduction in that price, we want that price to continue to reduce eventually. The last one, I think is last one, national ID card should not be mandatory. Of course, it should be an option for every citizen to have. And also, national ID card should not cause an unnecessary burden on the people of this country. Yes, it will help, as my fellow panelists stated, it will help with ensuring that we do not have underage voters, or it will help the country to capture people before the date of registration of voters. that is why we're calling on government to ensure that they facilitate the distribution of those cards to every Sierra Leonean. Until that is done, you cannot make that mandatory. You cannot impede the movement of people. You cannot say, if you don't have your card, we will be searching vehicles and all that. That should not be the spirit of this national ID card. It should not be a burden on the average Sierra Leonean. Of course, we should encourage it, and we will be encouraging it to people to have. The tripartite and the consideration for nationwide consideration, I think it is in place. We want to ensure that every community know about what is happening, and it should not just be based on the type of electoral process that we want to have. It should also be based on the election managing bodies. What do the people think about the ECSL? What do the people think about people that have conducted elections in this country, especially last elections, and what they did in those elections? Okay. Do we think they should continue to serve in those respective positions as commissioners? Because if you've been seen wanting in an election, and that's brought a lot of challenge in the acceptance of that result, those people also should be investigated to ensure that they probably are found wanting, or they do not conduct another election in this country. Okay. I will make it fast. Yes, why fear of PR? We are not afraid of PR, but we think it is only necessary in the books when it's necessary. If it was in the last constitutional review, it's a recommendation. We do not wish for Sierra Leone to degenerate into any state of instability, but the PR is there for those purposes. And backlog and members of parliament, we were elected as members of parliament, and we did not attend because of out of principle. And if it is part of the national dialogue to ensure that members of parliament of the APC and councillors of the APC go back to work, if it was an agreement before they went to work, then definitely, if the backlogs are given, members of parliament, it's their entitlement, and they should take it. But it is not about saying because the elections were not transparent and we have doubts about it, but we agreed to participate in governance. It is not to say when the time comes to ensure that we do what is needed to have a decent election in this country, we cannot call government to ensure that happens.
Was that a recipe of calm? Was that a recipe for calm in Parliament when the President was delivering his
No, it was not no recipe for calm. It was, like I said, the speech of the President was not. If you go through all the speech, you will not see anywhere where there was an attack on the opposition. It was a speech that called for national unity. Okay. It was a speech that was done by a president that pretty much wants to unite the country based on the speech. So we were pretty much responding to what we were listening to. It's a speech. Okay. If somebody says something that goes against your spirit, then you respond. But the speech was not about that.
Many Sierra Leoneans thought it was as a result of the backlogs that were paid.
It cannot be. It cannot be. Solomon, that's an entitlement.
That's a good one. But I would like to start with the submission of selecting honorable members from their political parties. Let me start with this. The political parties give symbols even under the constituency elections. It's not the people. The party will go and give symbol to somebody whom they think should, represent their people. So whether it's PRC or the constituency elections, the party choose or give symbol to whoever they think. And the representation of honorable members, I think that's the service we want them to continue to do. If you are to advocate for good laws, make sure, like the person mentioned, you are in that parliament, we are seeing Kwedun Owens, what they are doing to our people. No parliamentarian is talking about it, right? That is what we want to see. Like the reduction of rice, you parliamentarian, make sure those cups within the market, the government has said we should use this cup. Why are they not using it? So these are the issues we want the parliamentarian to take on. About oversight, we have ministries, departments, and agencies. Year in, year out, we are seeing audit reports coming out with flaws, and they are there. So for me, I want them to do their job, you understand, as we are expecting them. About chanting, as he said, chanting in parliament, that's normal, right? if they chant in parliament, it doesn't mean it's anything against somebody. For me, I would advise the First Lady not to even take that as anything. It's just chanting. That's the normal thing. You remember when the former president, Anis Nkrumah, was there about this third term after you, the SLPP was there when President in the last address of President Nkrumah, they were saying, after you chanting all of this. So for me, chanting is part of parliament. It's just the word.
Kokoros is a bit different from that after
but Kokoros now sang, just sang the song. It's Dr. Olo, you Kokoros, so how you manage to say Kokoros. That's a song. Okay. You understand? For me, the First Lady should not take that into anything. Okay. She is a mother. You understand? Let me talk about the feed salon. As he said, these are the issues we want the parliamentarian to be looking at. That oversight. Make sure you put the government on their toe, because a country that cannot able to feed itself, we are heading for a doom. He spoke about the PR system, about rejecting the PR system. For me, I will encourage the honorable member that within the districts of Freetown, we are expecting them to do more. Come together. You can be in the districts, whether you are APC, SLPP, you can open WhatsApp group and see exactly the needs, how you can advocate for those people. It's not that you meeting them. Those are gone are the days for you to go and be bridge or hospital. That's not your role. Your role is representation, oversight, and making law. So make good law for Sierra Leone.
Thank you so very much, Solomon Sondu. We had wished to have enough time to ensure we continue this conversation, but this is one that will continue definitely. So we say thank you so very much, Dr. Honorable Infa Kuruma, for your time this morning, and also Solomon Sondu. Just as we informed our viewers and listeners earlier on, we did extend an invite to the ruling SLPP. We extended an invite to the parliamentary wing for a representative in the program this morning, but to no avail. But nonetheless, Infa and civil rights-based activists were here this morning. Nonetheless, we go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the rest of the conversation. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone. Welcome back. This is the Wake Up Sierra Leone on YV television on channel 33 on Radio 101.7 FM and on DSTV channel 399. Keep sending us those comments, questions, and contributions via YV News Facebook page. And as we go along, we'll have to go through them. Now, in our second and final segment, in the studios this morning, we've just been joined by the Kono District Council Chairman, the person of Sir Augustine Sheku, who is here to talk about the recent Sierra Leone delegation at the 4th Financing for Development Conference in Seville, Spain, and the showcase of Kono Tech Farm as the country's strategy for feed salon, with the goal of attracting direct foreign investments, and updates on the recent activities of the Kono District Council, among other things. Chairman, as always, it's a pleasure having us studios. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for having me this morning, and I'm very happy to be here.
It sounds extremely exciting. A delegation that was in Seville, Spain, wherein the people of Kono did showcase the tech farm, which I believe is owned by some young people in Kono, Yomata and Usman, so to speak. Help the public understand what came out of the visit in Spain, and how would it help in transforming not just agriculture within Kono, but Sierra Leone as a whole.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me thank you for having me, and also for granting me the opportunity to share with you our participation in the Finance for Development Conference in Spain. But before I do that, probably I'll give you an antecedent as to how Kono District Council came in. When we were campaigning, we told our people that we'll make governance work for them. And our strategy was to create institutions. First, we situated the council as a corporate body, and we are providing the capacity that is required for our personnel as well as our councillors to function very well. And then we decided to look at what is available from within. So whilst we are developing our strategic plan, we also spotted some potentials. And so during the validation, we were able to bring all stakeholders, both in the public and the private sector. And we discovered that the Yomata Youth Farmers Association have developed a technology that was very critical for the development of this country. And so looking at the case of India, where they developed the hand pump, and that was able to help them to irrigate India. India became food self-sufficient. The surpluses were sold and invested in technology, in research, in human capital development. And that is why today India is not only a middle-income country, but it's also a key player in the global economy.
Absolutely.
So when we spotted that talent, we decided to bring it to the attention of central government. Because, you know, as a local government, we act on two principles: subsidiarity and complementarity. Subsidiarity is things we can do on our own. We'll definitely undertake that. But when we find out that investment required is above us, we scale that up to the central government, and that is where complementarity principle comes in. So we came to the Ministry of Development, and they have been having sessions with us on private investment, and that we should now move from consumption to investment. And so they have a whole unit, and that unit encourages us to spot those potentials. So I engaged Mr. Alpha Bangura, the director in charge, and she also escalated that to the minister, and we came and made a presentation. And the minister was captivated and said we are looking for a strategy for feed salon, and there is no other strategy better than this one, because the Yamata farm is an integrated strategy where you have the young people undertaking innovation, where they have brought in smart irrigation. You can use your mobile phone to irrigate your farm, and they also have developed a hatchery where they are helping in the development of poultry. They also have a concept for livestock development, especially.
You said you can use your mobile phone to irrigate a farm. How is that done?
It's technology. So when you go there, you see for yourself. Several people have gone there. The vice president has been there. The World Bank regional director has been there. The minister himself, herself, the minister of development has been there. The minister of agriculture has been there. And when you go, it will amaze you that Sierra Leoneans have become so creative that the opportunity that the president has provided for them is actually providing the platform. And you recall during the second tech summit, Safia Yar was called to share his experiences with their first, because they won the presidential prize and the runners-up prize for the first tech summit.
Sure.
And he amazed everybody to the extent that the president said he was going to ensure that the technology that or the tech farm is scale up, and he even committed that they will provide $1 million. So we are now looking for the opportunity where we can access that $1 million to scale up that technology there, so that we can not only replicate that in other chiefdoms in the district, but also in other districts. So when the when the Finance for Development Summit came, countries were expected to go and showcase their potentials, their opportunities, so that they can attract direct foreign investment. And so Sierra Leone decided that there are two initiatives that government came up with. One was the Mineral Wealth Fund. You know, we have minerals all over the country, but they have not benefited us. But this government has brought an initiative wherein they have constituted an outfit that will now manage our minerals, so that future exploitation and investment in the mineral sector will also have government share. So that was one strategy that government decided to showcase in Seville. And then they said that also the tech farm should also be another one that should be branded. So we went to Seville, the vice president led the delegation. In our own side engagement, we were able to showcase these two potentials. And some of the delegation, members of the delegation here, especially from the Ministry of Finance, were attracted by it. Very recently, last week, we also shared that with the Minister of Finance. And he was so impressed that he charged the boys to go and put in place the appropriate structures where they have an audited account, so that he will use his influence as minister to see what support he can get for them with private sector players. And he even gave them a token, you know, to motivate the boys. And the boys went home very, very happy. So I would say that our participation in Spain was an eye-opener, because there was so much we learned from there that we believe that we are now in a better position to promote that strategy as the one that will ensure we are able to accomplish the feed salon.
I mean, it's good, like you did mention, that Sierra Leone was a part of this. Now, what's the operational structure of the Conotech farm?
The operational structure is a private investment, but you know, they have limitations in terms of funding. And for all I know, most private sector institutions that have grown up were really nurtured by the state, because you may have your idea, you may have your initiative, but if you don't have the capital to scale it up, it will die a natural death. So they have that structure there, and they have a management, but we came in to see how we can nurture them so that they can become our own outfit that will take over the commanding height of the economy of Kono. And the Kono people are very excited that we have that initiative. For example, this year they were able to sell about 1,050 kilograms of rice to World Food Program for the school feeding program. And that's an eye-opener.
I just wanted to ask my question around that, you know, because you did mention that the president applauded, you know, the whole idea about this. Now, how will this, you know, help salvage some of the issues we have around, you know, agriculture in Sierra Leone?
It's as I say, it's an integrated approach that has come with solutions for farmers. Like, for example, the smart irrigation, if it is scaled up and invested in, it will address the issue of not having one crop a year, because you always depend on rainfall agriculture. So it means you can do 2-3 crops a year, because all you need is water. And the smart irrigation technology provides that. The hatchery that they have constituted, it can hatch 2,000 eggs at any given period of time. You know, when the chicken lays an egg, it takes 21 days to incubate it and hatch it.
How do they go about securing water?
Well, you either get a water source, or you dig boreholes, and then you connect with pipes, and then you connect it to the system. So you can even be here and you ring the number, and you dial the number, and then water comes out. And then once you have adequate water in your farm, you can also use another number to, you know, put the water off. So it means you have water throughout the year, and that can support the feed salon, in the sense that, as I said, it will increase productivity, it will address the issue of perennial, you know, agriculture. So you have all-round agriculture.
Essentially, we know Kono is one of those districts that is known for rich mineral resources, such as diamond, among other minerals. Now, agriculture is being talked about in Kono district. What are the mechanisms that the district hopes to utilize to see that these technologies, newly developed technologies in the district, will be cascaded across Kono district, talk less of other districts, to ensure bountiful harvest in that part of the country?
Well, you see, in our council, we have a systematic approach to development. We believe that everybody is important, and so we conjoin competencies to co-create solutions. And even when we went to Seville, I think that was the mantra. All presentations say you have to co-create solutions. It means one person cannot do it all by itself. Here are these fellows. They have been very innovative. They have come up with the technology, but they don't have the resources to scale it up. And that is why we came in to complement their effort, to showcase them to government. And government has also identified them as a tangible option for the feed salon. And government is also resource constrained at the moment. So, and that is why we went to Seville. In Seville, we had the opportunity of meeting with partners and also private sector players. And they were very impressed. And one thing that came out very clearly in Seville is that we also had the opportunity of interacting with other least developed countries. And it will interest you to know that we are far ahead of them. Because while we have come with a solution, we're only looking for partners to scale it up. It is now that some of them are like, doing this assessment, having stakeholders engagement. Like, for example, Guinea will be having their own stakeholder engagement in November. And we even told them that we would like to go there to share our own experiences. You know, Saville was like, as a Christian, what I refer to as a Pentecost. During Pentecost, the Christians or the apostles became very bold enough to preach their gospel. So it means whatever we are doing here, and probably we are not too sure whether we are on the right trajectory or not, but going to Seville and having interactions there has now given us the view that we are on the right path. So it has strengthened our resolve, and that is why we are now, very voracious in our search for partners, so that we can scale this particular technology up. The other thing that Seville did for us was that because Pentecost brought diversity, people spoke to each other and they understood. And so in Seville, the issue there was co-creation. So it means you can now partner with other people. We have the technology, we have the resources in terms of the land, because all the paramount chiefs are very impressed. They are prepared to give their land. For example, I told you, just last year when they cultivated about 100 hectares of land, they were able to get 1,000 bags or more, which they sold to the BFP.
Yeah.
So it means we have the potentials, we have the technology. We are now looking to government under the principle of complementarity to make sure that we scale it up. And if we scale it up, in the next couple of years, I think Mr. President will be very happy to say we have reduced, in his speech to Parliament, he said we have started getting reduction in the the potential of rice. If we really scale that technology up, I can assure you, we have the equipment, we have the tractors, we have harvesters, and we'll be able to attain the food security that he's talking about. And so government can ride on that. And this is an opportunity which I believe government should also take advantage of. And I'm happy that the Minister of Development, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Agriculture, they have all seen that this is the right approach, and we cannot allow this to slip off our hands.
Mr. Chairman, this is a commendable venture that has been embarked on by these fine gentlemen from across Kono District. But before we go for sports, we'll not allow you to leave this studio without asking about the current state of affairs in Kono District, particularly so those within the mines, workers from Koidu Holdings. What's the current state of affairs for those workers who are majority residents of Kono District?
Just on Saturday, the Minister of Internal Affairs, Mr. Mori Lengo, who incidentally was my classmate in the Bush School, was in Kono, to engage all of us. First of all, to support the security apparatus there to protect the assets of the mines. We went around, we saw the effort the security were making to secure those assets, and we also saw the challenges that they were facing. So after that, he engaged us in a town hall meeting, and we share experiences. So what he has done is, he has now asked us to set up a committee so that we can first complement the effort of the security, and also to come out with recommendations as to what we do with things like the tailings, which is attracting most of the people who want to go there unauthorized, so that all of those recommendations can come to government. And all I know is, I understand there is a court a case between the company and government, and I will not comment on that now. But for all I know, we are making effort to ensure that we secure those assets, so that whatever be the outcome of the arbitration, there will always be a fallback. Either the company will go back to say, I want to resume my work, but my assets are in place, or they will say, we don't want to go there again, but these assets can also be used as the baseline for any other company to take over. So that is the state of affairs. We have appealed to the workers to remain calm, so that the due process will be accomplished. And I think they are listening to us, okay, and we hope to continue like that.
Okay, then Esther Marie Samora, good morning. What's happening from your end with the gas sports?
Good morning. Well, for our sport update this morning, the leaders of the Sierra Leone Premier League, East Lions Football Club, have made a triumphant return to the CAF Champions League after 14-year absence. The Killers have been drawn against Tunisia's Union Sportive Monastir in the preliminary qualifiers this September. Lions will kick off the two-legged tie at home, hosting the team in the first leg on the 19th or the 20th of September before traveling to Tunisia for the return fixtures the following week. Well, we wish the Killers all the best. Away from that, Sierra Bangura, captain of Sierra Leone senior women's football team, has voiced her disappointment over the government's continued neglect of the team despite their heroic achievement. Well, the team won their first ever international title, defeating Senegal 1-0 in the finals of the West African Football Union Women's Cup held in Mauritania. Here is a report. Sierra Queens won the West African Union Women's Cup 2 months ago, and since returning to Sierra Leone, the players have yet to meet with the president or receive support from the government. This situation has left the players frustrated. Sierra Bangura, captain of Sierra Queens, spoke about the lack of financial support from the government.
Well, I mean, we're still waiting for the government. The NEC director told us that he's still waiting to get to hear back from the president. So when we get that news, we'll gladly go and pay a visit to the president. They told us that he's busy, but we see that he's out there, you know, making appearances to other programs, and he's still yet to receive us. They have not yet reached out to us. It's been 2 months, and we're still waiting for them to reach out. You know, I've made countless, you know, ways to get to them, but they're still holding us. And like I said, we're still waiting, and hopefully they will get back to us as soon as possible.
She called on the government to recognize the team's effort, as has been done for the senior men's football team.
We're not an exception from the male team, because we know if this was the male team, they would have flew to Mauritania to give them the grand gesture, and we're still waiting. We want them to take us as equal.
On the team's return from Mauritania 2 months ago, they were warmly welcomed by several high-ranking government and sports officials who commended their brave performance in the WAFU Women's Championship. The executive director of the National Sports Authority, Dr. Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi, also lauded the team, noting that President Bio will continue to invest in sports and that plans are underway to reward and support the players further. Unfortunately, that has not been done, as you got from the report. Away from that, quality infrastructure remains essential for the success of football clubs, particularly in Sierra Leone, where players receive low income and often travel long distances for matches. Star Sport Academy, one of the Sierra Leone Premier League teams, took a major step forward with the launch of a sponsorship deal with Luminix Energy Solution at the SLPP Academy, aimed to boosting youth football development and improving facilities by providing vehicles and electronics for quality output in the sport. Sasol Moyomba has more.
In a bid to strengthen football development in Sierra Leone, Star Sport Academy has launched a sponsorship partnership with Luminix Energy Solutions. The event underscored the urgent need for quality infrastructure to nurture talent, as players still face the challenge of traveling to distant districts for Premier League games. Chairman for Star Sport Academy, Engineer Kuba J. Tarawali, shared the Academy's vision of developing players aged 12 to 17 for opportunities abroad, noting the recent acquisition of land at Songo to build modern facilities.
We realize that we need to do a strategic plan. And in our strategic plan, we'll be able to highlight that looking for a sponsor is key to the sustainability of Star Sport Academy. As we are here today to grace this momentous occasion, we'll be able as an academy to acquire some assets that will give the boys the platform for their career development. We've acquired 10-acre land at Songo, which we intend to construct a mini field there and other facilities that will meet international standards. We'll be able to procure
Luminix Energy Solutions CEO Salwa Campbell stressed that the partnership is more than powering homes. It's about lighting dreams, as every player represents a family, community, and a country.
You know, building up a football team ensures that we reach out to the communities and ensure that we impact the community. But then beyond that, it also helps us build the potential of those football players. And like Dr. Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi rightly mentioned, it takes them out of the street. And this is one thing that people need to realize, that, you know, playing a football match is not just engaging in something to, you know, maybe pass the time, but then they can become professionals. It's something that they can build a career on, that, you know, their families are dependent on. So that is what I meant.
The Executive Director of National Sports Authority, Dr. Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi, highlighted the struggles of managing teams without adequate funds, calling for greater private sector support.
Because I know how much money we spend every day on football. And for you to bring your team to this level, it's almost like a miracle. You have to have a constant source of income. Before I became the Executive Director of National Sport Authority, I keep saying, we cannot do this without the private sector. And I think what Luminix you have done is extraordinary.
The ceremony concluded with the presentation of vehicles and electronic equipment to aid the Academy's operations. This does not only represent comfort, but highlights the growing need for more sponsorship in the game. Sir Solomon Yumba, AYV Sports, Freetown.
Many thanks, Solomon Yumba, for that report, and also hearty congratulations to Star Sports Academy. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Sports Update. I am Maria Samura. Over to you, Marina and Samuel.
Thank you so much, Maria Samura, for the update in sports. Back to you as we try to wrap up in just a minute. What should we be expecting from, you know, the Corner Tech Farm?
Well, first of all, when we were in Spain, we are told that donor support is dwindling due to the global economic outlook. So even ourselves in the council, we always look to government for allocations. But we have now realized that we need to deepen our own source revenue. And the only way we can do that is when we develop our private sector. So we want the tech farm to be a model for this country to accomplish food security. It will also motivate other young people who are in innovation. And what we have done is to ensure that we have now a structure where we are able to identify all innovators in the district. And even when we came to make the presentation to the Minister of Finance, we brought one on board who was manufacturing biscuits from cassava. So we expect the tech farm to be the hub of technology, especially for the food security in this country. We have also formed cooperatives, and these cooperatives are working with the tech farm where they go to acquire knowledge. In fact, they have an AI, that is artificial intelligence, where they share best farming practices with farmers. You go there, you acquire knowledge in your own local language. And we also are developing a framework where we want to ensure that the cooperatives also become the next layer of the private sector, where they can have their own cooperative stores, they can aggregate their surpluses and process them and market them, so that in the next couple of years we will not be dependent on government, but rather Kono will not only be self-sufficient, but it will be a donor district, where we look at other impoverished districts that are struggling, and then we go and support them, give them budgetary support, because the potentials are there, because of the outlook that we have envisioned, and the fact that we are now captivating the people, and they are with us 100%. Above that, we are also delivering services. We are providing school infrastructure, health infrastructure, we are doing road infrastructure. In fact, we have even put public workers in some of the roads that are impassable. to the extent that most of the roads this year are better off than last year. So these are some of the things we are doing, and that is captivating the attention of our people.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. This is where we end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. We say thanks to our sponsor, Electoral Commercial Bank, for their support towards the program, and to all our guests who have been here with us this morning, and to our audience. As we appreciate your time. I'm Marina Terry, wishing you all a lovely day and stay safe.
And I'm Samuel Ibrahim Kuruma. I say continue staying tuned to AYV television all throughout the day. We have exciting programs that are lined up for you. So we'll meet again for another edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. I say have yourself a wonderful day. And bye-bye.